Hi there guys, welcome back to my channel, Boomy Reactions. Now today guys, we have a very interesting video that I would like to watch with you. This one's all about tornadoes. So this video has been requested by one of my fabulous patrons, Arctictron. Thank you so much, my lovely. Another banger. I'm just gonna say another banger. Arctictron, you say, hey Boomy. So this video is sort of an answer to some of the questions that you had during that Geography King video about Tornado Alley. Yes, particularly the part about moving southeast. Well, I have both a great video and a great channel to recommend that answers that question, but also answers a lot more questions about tornadoes and in general just talks about various tornado-related facts, events and myths, just to name a few. The Tornado Iceberg Part 1 is the title of this video by, oh gosh, I'm going to mispronounce this, I'm sure. Is it Swaggle Studios or is it Sweagle Studios? At Arctictron, you said you recently were eyeing this channel up to recommend some videos for me to watch and react to. Thank you very much. So fabulous. Particularly so this is a strong focus on tornadoes, obviously, it's the title of the videos. And you also said, I'm glad you said this at the end of the video. By the way, if you don't know what an iceberg video is, he explains it in the video. It's a metaphor and not a literal iceberg. Now, if you hadn't said this, I was looking at the thumbnail thinking, an iceberg that has tornadoes in it? But it's somewhere in the southeast of the USA, I'm assuming. There was a lot of confusion. But yes, thank you for saying that. So I did give it a quick Google before we're going in. I'm sure he will explain as well. But the iceberg videos. As far as that, my understanding is, so we've got like tiers of information that he's going to present to us in the video. So I think it starts, so the tip of the iceberg is that information that everyone is privy to, you know, basic facts, myths, you know, kind of widespread information. And then as the as the iceberg gets deeper, we start to uncover information that not many people might know. And it's deeper information. Do you know what I mean? So it's that saying that it's just the tip of the iceberg. So it makes so much more sense knowing that. So yes, thank you for mentioning that at the end of your video. As we've established, I live under a rock. And no, I did not know what an iceberg video was. So thank you very much, my lovely. I'm sure he's going to explain it to us in the video as well. But yes, I did give myself a little bit of a quick Google. So thank you for that, Arctictron. Let's crack on with the video, guys, because as you know, I do an awful lot of chatting. So let's just crack on. And if you are enjoying these reactions, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Thank you so much, my lovelies. If you're interested, I have a Buy Me a Coffee account. That link is over here. And if you would like to help support this channel any further, I have a Patreon account. And if you fancy checking it out at all, that link is in the description below.
Well. 50,000 subs.
Oh, well done.
Thank you so much for subscribing. Tornadoes.
Oh, bless him.
That's what we're talking about, all right? In case you didn't know, I'm obsessed with them. And to celebrate 50,000 subs, I thought it'd be pretty sweet to do a tornado iceberg video. So that's what we're gonna do. This is just a tornadoes in general iceberg video. In case you are unfamiliar with the iceberg meme, the stuff at the very top on the surface and up in the sky, that's like really well-known stuff. People who aren't interested in tornadoes typically know the stuff on the surface. And as you go down, topics become more obscure and a little bit darker. Of course, tornadoes are pretty dark in general, so the whole of this is gonna be dark. And of course,
and we're going more in depth, and then the information is much more specific, much more scientific, I imagine, as well.
Of course, I'm sure I missed many tornado topics, and in the future, I want to make an enhanced tornado iceberg. So be sure.
But it's going to be a very wide topic as well, isn't it? So you've got to forgive him for not being able to cover everything. Just quickly want to mention that that popcorn machine behind him looks so awesome. I love that.
Sure to share more topics in the comments to feature in a future video. This is just part one because this took way longer than I thought. But yeah, let's get into the video. Starting way up in the sky, we have some really obvious tornado topics that I just want to go over really quickly. The first one being tornado versus hurricane.
I'm glad he's brought this up. I'm not really sure what differentiates a tornado from a hurricane, or I think a lot of people use them like interchangeably. Like I'm probably guilty of that because I'm not sure of the definition between them.
Talking to a friend recently, and they said, "What's the difference between a tornado and a hurricane?"
Yeah.
And I was
Start
like,
at the basics.
"What? Really?" But that's fine. Not everyone is a tornado nerd like me. I get it. Essentially, a tornado is this. Tornadoes are those columns of air that come down, that descend and destroy everything in their path.
Right.
Usually has a condensation funnel. A hurricane, on the other hand, is like a massive tropical storm system that looks like this. And sometimes they can spawn tornadoes, but they're not tornadoes. Okay, moving on to tornadoes versus twisters versus...
Oh gosh, there's another one, a twister. This is another one. Again, I probably am guilty of using the term twister, tornado, and hurricane interchangeably. Interesting. So I'm taking away from that. A tornado is much more visible. That iconic kind of, really, you can see it in the distance, that kind of funnel of wind that looks very, very iconic of the open prairies of the USA, maybe. Right, okay. I would not know how to define a cyclone. I would normally associate them with like tropical weather fronts, maybe.
cyclones. The word tornado and the word twister mean the exact same thing.
Right,
Twister
okay.
is just a
At least I did
kind of
that, okay.
slang term for tornado. Cyclone, on the other hand, can mean the same thing as tornado and twister. In fact, historically, it's meant the same thing. You look at old newspapers and it's like, cyclone tears through city. But now they're not really referred to as cyclones. Cyclone can also be a blanket term for any type of swirling storm system. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and move on to the first actual layer, the surface.
Next layer.
First topic on the surface is we're not in Kansas anymore. This refers
Most
to
famous
the tornado
one.
scenes from The Wizard of Oz. Truly an iconic scene that was really well done considering this movie came out in 1939. Depicts
100%,
Dorothy
yeah.
and her dog Toto as they try to seek shelter in their house. The winds are crazy, the door is flying off the handle. The tornado in the back was actually created by Arnold Gillespie, who was a special effects director for The Wizard of Oz. And he did this by suspending a muslin cloth from a steel gantry. And I've talked about it in previous videos, but yeah, pretty sweet. Moving on. Tornado watch versus tornado warning. Okay, so a tornado watch is a weather alert that covers a large area where the ingredients are favorable for the potential of a tornado. These cover several counties, and they're usually issued well in advance of the actual tornado. A tornado warning, on the other hand, means there's a confirmed tornado or rotation, usually radar indicated, and these polygons represent the areas that are in the tornado warning. If a tornado warning is issued in your area, you need to take shelter immediately, and usually the tornado sirens are going off within the polygon path. One easy way to visualize this is with this very helpful taco graphic. As you can see, one has all the ingredients, but the taco has not formed, and in the other, you got a taco.
Okay, so tornado watch. We potentially could see a tornado. We haven't yet, but all the right scenarios are there, all the right situations, all the right ingredients are there for one to happen. So stay vigilant. A tornado warning, they have been cited. You're in a very, very high risk area of a tornado happening. Right, okay. Is the fellow here, is he one of these that go, what are they called? You know, like the tornado hunters that literally travel across the country just to get like footage of them or experience them, or see them in action. Has he done that before?
Tornado warning. All right. Speaking of tornado sirens, I just did a video on these. What? Tornado sirens are sirens that are used by municipalities to let people know if a tornado is approaching or if there's a potential for a tornado to be approaching. Originally, they were designed for nuclear weapons. However, since the Cold War has ended and those aren't as much of a threat anymore, hopefully it stays that way, these are now used for natural disasters, specifically tornadoes and sometimes tsunamis. These are pretty creepy. I did a video on it. We're moving on. Next on the list is the classic night.
Just before we move on, yes, they are very creepy sounding. I remember being, I think I was about 10, and they sounded one of the old sirens from the war. I think it was in relation to maybe a Remembrance Day thing or something similar like that. And I had no idea what was going on. I was out with my friend. We were on our bikes, and there was just this really creepy sound that was all around us. It was everywhere. I mean, it might have been a bit windy. The UK, it was probably raining. But there was nothing that would make you think there was a reason for this siren if you didn't know why. Yes, they are very, very unnerving. They are just creepy sounds, aren't they? Do they all sound the same? Can you get much variety in the sounds of a siren? I'm thinking of, the police sirens. Anyway, because some of them sound different, don't they?
1996 movie and film.
Yes, Twister.
Twister. Very cool. Starring Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt, and of course, everyone's favorite, Philip Seymour Hoffman as Dusty. The film centers around a storm-chasing team and their evil rivals.
To change all that with a system that I have devised.
God, he sucks.
As they attempt to gather scientific knowledge with their Dorothy probes. Their rivals are in it for the money, while they're in it to save lives.
And for
they're
the
good
thrills.
people. Great movie. There's some huge Twister fans out there.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
just love it. I mean, they can quote the whole movie.
And apparently there's a sequel in the works. Don't know how they're going to do that without Bill Paxton and Philip Seymour Hoffman, but
I think they did do it though, didn't they? I didn't actually watch this. I'm sure it's been out years ago, last year maybe, or the year before. Did you watch it, guys? Let me know. Was it an absolute flop? I can't remember. I need to watch it. I enjoyed the original.
I'm excited. Tornado Alley is a large geographic area of the United States known for its frequent and violent tornadoes.
Yes.
The exact borders of Tornado Alley are debatable, but they usually cover Minnesota, Iowa, South Dakota, Nebraska, and especially Kansas, Oklahoma, and parts of Texas.
Now, I know he's just said it's debatable where Tornado Alley is, but I imagine as the years go by, there's no reason why those borders wouldn't change, given weather patterns or, just differences that happen from year to year. So that would make sense that the borders would fluctuate or, or change.
Tornadoes tend to form here due to warm, moist air from the Gulf of
Yes,
Mexico,
yeah,
mixing with the cool air from the Rockies, leading to an unstable atmosphere and the creation of supercells. There are other tornado alleys in the United States, and we'll get to those later. Speaking of supercells are massive thunderstorms that contain a mesocyclone and a rotating updraft. These are often referred to as thunderheads or cumulonimbus clouds, and these storms have a very high potential for strong and violent tornadoes. Moving on to the Enhanced Fujita Scale, or EF scale. This is a rating scale originally invented by Ted Fujita that classifies tornadoes based on their wind speed, which is measured by the intensity of damage they caused. That's very important. EF1, EF2, EF5, etc. Originally just Fujita or F scale, it was redefined in 2006 after a bunch of meteorological experts did some research and experiments between 2000 and 2004. The scale is a bit controversial, which we'll talk about later in the list, due to the fact that the tornado has to actually cause damage in order to get a high rating. So if you
Yeah, is that the most accurate way to kind of rate it? I'm sure they've got other scales and ratings that they give tornadoes as well, like wind speed and da-da-da-da-da-da. But how useful is this scale? And why I'm asking that is because you can't foresee the damage that it's going to do until it does it. So is it quite limited as to how useful it's going to be? Because, what good is it knowing that it was extremely destructive after all the damage has been done? You could have done with knowing it was going to be that destructive beforehand. But then again, saying that, you can't stop the devastation. You can evacuate people, which is the main thing, isn't it? To ensure that there's, much less fatalities and casualties. But you can't pick up and move properties. So that damage isn't going to be any different. Am I right? Is there anything else that you can potentially do when you know such a high wind speed hurricane or tornado is heading your way? Is there anything you can do to minimize the damage besides evacuate and just ensure that you and your family are safe? I don't know.
have a massive 400-mile-per-hour wind tornado out in the middle of a field that causes no damage,
Right.
then it's not going to get a high EF rating, and people don't like that. Moving on.
That is such a good point. So you might have incredibly high wind speeds, but because of where this tornado has happened to been located, maybe it's not going to cause that much damage, but it doesn't mean that it was any less of a fast, horrendous hurricane or tornado. It just so happens that the devastation was minimized because of where it was. Now, you might have lower wind speeds in a much more built up area, and the devastation is going to be vast, it's going to be huge. But maybe that wasn't predicted because the wind speeds were significantly less. So it was downplayed a little bit. But let me know what you think, guys. Like, how does that actually work in practice? Do you agree or do you disagree? Or is there a reason for it?
On to Storm Chasers. Everyone knows Storm Chasers. There was that hit show on Discovery Channel with Reed Timmer, Sean Casey, and the Twist X team. Storm Chasers are tornado enthusiasts and professionals who go out and they chase tornadoes. They check in at the Storm Prediction Center. They see a high potential for tornadoes in a specific area. They get in their vehicles, they bring their cameras, and they go and try to capture the moment. Moving on. Ah, yes, the Dust Devil meme. The video is not actually real. It was made using CGI, but it went viral back in 2014, and there's a specific part of the video where the guy has this ridiculous face in front of the Dust Devil. And this
What did you just say? Here it comes. Oh, that's so true. It's so true, isn't it? I missed that meme. It looks almost. Did you ever used to watch the Tasmanian Devil when you were younger, guys? Yeah, and Taz always used to kind of move around in like what was like a tornado. I always think of Taz when I see these.
Photo then produced a lot of memes. Also, the YouTube video has 21 million views. So yeah, pretty well known. At this point where the water meets the ocean, we have what I think might be the most well-known tornadic event, and that is the 2011 Joplin EF5 tornado. On Sunday, May 22nd, 2011, a large tornado tore through the center of Joplin, Missouri, resulting in 161 fatalities and $2.8 billion in damage, making it the costliest single tornado to date. This massive tornado was rain-wrapped and was absolutely tragic and horrifying. Truly a worst-case scenario. It happened on graduation Sunday. Even to this day, Joplin is still recovering. Very tragic event. We're gonna move on to the next layer.
That, like you can see the photos there, it's just stripped trees. Oh, what's left of the trees? How is this leveled? Oh my gosh, you just can't imagine.
Beneath the surface.
We're going beneath the surface now.
Hook echo. Some supercells can produce a hook/pendant shaped signature on radar caused by reflectivity of rain and hail. This is one of the hallmark signs of a radar indicated tornado, often issuing a tornado warning, especially when the hook echo forms a debris ball. A few extremely prominent hook echo examples with debris balls include the 2013 Moore and the 2021 Mayfield tornado. When TV meteorologists see these, they know the situation is getting really serious.
Send some prayers to Mayfield right now.
Quick disclaimer, not all tornadoes have hook echoes, and not all hook echoes produce tornadoes. Okay, 2011 super outbreak. The 2011 super outbreak was one of the largest tornado events in the past 50 years plus. Between April 25th and April 27th, 2011, there was a tornado outbreak that spawned over 360 tornadoes, including 4 EF5 tornadoes. Okay, that's insane. 4 EF5 tornadoes in one day. The two most notable tornadoes from that day were the Hackleburg Phil Campbell EF5, which resulted in 72 fatalities, and the Tuscaloosa Birmingham EF4 tornado, which resulted in 64 fatalities. Overall, 324 people lost their lives, and $10 billion worth of damage had been done, which is the costliest on record for a tornado outbreak. Next up, the 20...
Oh, just before we move on to the next bit, did they ever... What was the reason for so many tornado outbreaks here? Was it just freak weather, or did they blame climate change, or was it just a really freak event?
13 El Reno tornado. The infamous El Reno tornado occurred on May 31st, 2013, and it is known for being the largest tornado ever recorded, at its peak being 2.5 miles wide. This tornado also has some of the fastest wind speeds ever recorded. The tornado resulted in 8 fatalities, many of which were storm chasers. Storm chasers dying in tornadoes is actually quite rare. We will talk more about this tornado further down the list. Now,
I would have thought that's a bit of a dangerous hobby, isn't it, really? Well, to lay people, to untrained people, ignorant people, I would have assumed that this is very much a thrill seeker sport, you know, that there comes with it comes an element of risk and danger, but apparently not. The chap here, he did say, you know, it's actually quite rare for storm chasers to, you know, have accidents or, you know, be involved, have fatalities.
Next up is tornado season. Tornado season
Right.
is the time of the year when the most tornadoes occur, specifically in the
summer.
US. Now this varies by region, but
Oh, of
usually lasts
course,
between
right.
March and July, peaking at the end of May and early June. In the South, tornado season starts a little bit earlier in March and April, and sometimes even February. Tornadoes, of course, can occur any time of the year, including December and January, so you always want to be prepared. EF6. The enhanced Fujita scale only goes up to EF5, but some claim an EF6 monster tornado is possible. Of course, officially an EF6 tornado is just a myth and is
Hasn't
impossible, although they do mention them a lot in movies.
What makes them impossible? Isn't it just more a case of they haven't been recorded yet or in modern memory? Like you said, it's impossible. Is what makes it impossible? Is I would have just assumed that it's just that it hasn't ever happened, or you know, hasn't been recorded.
Is there anything bigger, like an F6?
That's like a nuclear bomb going off.
Canada's only F5, everyone's favorite tornado, the Eiley, Manitoba F5 that occurred on June 22nd, 2007. This tornado was extremely powerful and absolutely beautiful, and there were no fatalities. One of the GOAT tornadoes for sure, and it had a ridiculous path. Look at this path.
Beautiful, like an angel of death might be beautiful. You know, that kind of like gothic, kind of morbid, beautiful. I quite like it. But yeah.
Fun fact, this was also the last F5 tornado as Canada wouldn't adopt the EF scale until later. PDS, aka particularly dangerous situation. The best way to describe PDSs are like an enhanced tornado watch, where not only are the ingredients right for a tornado,
Highly
but they're
likely.
like super prime.
This is a particularly dangerous situation.
Particularly dangerous situations are also issued for potential tornado outbreaks.
So we've got another one here. So we've got tornado watch, potentially dangerous situation, and a tornado warning. Okay, so we've got 3 there now.
These are issued by the Storm Prediction Center. Only 3% of all tornado watches have PDSs. Tornado emergency. So we talked about tornado warnings, which
They're
is
the
that there's a
after
confirmed
effects.
tornado on the ground or signs of a tornado on the ground heading in a general direction. Well, a tornado emergency is like taking that one step further. Think of it as there's definitely a tornado on the ground. It's definitely a strong tornado, and this strong tornado is heading towards a populated area.
From the National Weather Service, a tornado emergency now in effect for Greensburg in Kiowa County.
They're pretty rare. The first one ever was during the 1999 Bridge Creek Moore tornado. So if we go back to the taco meme, tornado watch has the ingredients, tornado warning has a taco, and a tornado emergency has someone eating the taco. Dixie Alley.
Right.
Dixie
Okay, I
Alley
see.
is the slightly less known but very active southern
this.
version of Tornado
Yeah,
Alley. This
Dixie Alley.
encompasses Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Georgia. Some people think that Dixie Alley is a relatively new thing, but it's definitely not. I mean, Birmingham has been hammered by several huge F5 tornadoes forever. The reason why Dixie Alley has a lesser known reputation than Tornado Alley is because Dixie Alley is not a great place to spot tornadoes. There's a lot of hills, there's a lot of forests.
So could they happen without being detected? So there's less recording of them, where as opposed to Tornado Alley.
Unlike the plains,
Got
which
it.
are open and you can see from a far ways away. So if you're a storm chaser, you want to go to the traditional Tornado Alley because it's just going to be easier to see a tornado there. Usually
to
people in
track
Dixie
them.
Alley actually hear the tornado before they see the tornado, which is terrifying. Tornadoes in the USA. So this is just the fact that tornadoes seem to be an American weather anomaly.
We
Of
do
course,
associate
tornadoes
them
happen
more with
all
you.
over the world. Many occur in the UK, Germany,
Yes!
and France, and Italy. And
Shockingly, like I only found this out relatively recently, but we get them, but I think they're quite mild, and I think it's only more of a recent thing that we've started really labeling windy storms, maybe classifying them as tornadoes or hurricanes, but they do happen. Not very many, but they do happen, and they happen without really much of a fuss being made. And I think that is just because we're so used to just wind, rain. When it's particularly windy, a lot of us just accept rubbish weather and it's just a bit windy. But more recently, we've started hearing about more storms and labeling bad weather as a storm. So, I mean, maybe that's why. But yes, I only found out recently that we do have them, but I don't think they're quite on the same scale as the ones that you'll get in the US.
We'll talk more about how they occur in Bangladesh and India and Pakistan later in the list. But yes, a vast majority of them do occur in the USA. You can thank our geography for that. The 1925 Tri-State Tornado. This is the single deadliest tornado in US history with 695 confirmed fatalities. It was part of a larger outbreak that occurred on March 18th, 1925. This particular F5 tornado traveled from southern Missouri all the way up to Indiana, over 219 miles. This also makes it the longest tornado track. It's a truly horrific event, and let's hope this remains the deadliest tornado in US history for a very long time. The tornado river and valley myth refers to the idea that some people believe tornadoes can't occur within valleys, or they can't cross rivers, or whatever. Some people think if a city is surrounded by a river, it's protected by tornadoes. Not true. Not true at all.
Is that just because maybe there just happens to be a different type of geography that reduces the incidence of a tornado happening, the likelihood of a tornado happening? Obviously, it's not going to make it completely, what's the word? They're still vulnerable to tornadoes. They're not going to be invulnerable. But maybe with the being surrounded by a river, maybe there's something else about the geography which is minimizing the likelihood of it happening here.
It's just a myth. Tornadoes don't care about rivers. The Canadian River. Tornadoes been crossing that thing forever.
Yeah,
and
they can travel
hills
over rivers.
Obviously don't affect tornadoes at all. Just look at Dixie Alley. Lots of hills, lots of tornadoes. We're moving on. The Moore, Oklahoma F5 tornadoes. So Moore, Oklahoma is a bit of a tornado magnet, and it has featured some of the most infamous tornadoes in history. Recently, in 2013, the May 20th Newcastle Moore tornado had 24 deaths and did $2 billion worth of damage. And even more well known is the May 3rd, 1999 Bridge Creek Moore tornado. This tornado had 36 fatalities and did $1 billion in damage. These are two of the most famous tornadoes in US history, and they both hit the southern Oklahoma City suburb of Moore. Pretty crazy. If you're gonna move to Moore, maybe you shouldn't. The Ray, Colorado.
Oh, quite blunt advice. Is it just known for being a particular tornado hotspot? Okay.
Tornado was an EF2 tornado that occurred on May 7th, 2016, and it is known for the absolutely amazing footage captured by Reed Timmer and other storm chasers.
That just looks like the act of a god, doesn't it? That's so massive, so destructive. You could easily see how people years ago would attribute things like this down to deity behavior. It's so dramatic looking and so devastating. Ooh.
It's actually one of the most viewed tornado videos on YouTube.
Nature.
I mean, just look at this thing. It's ridiculous. Speaking of well-known tornado footage, the McConnell Air Force Base tornado footage is a famous, extremely close-up video of a tornado shot at McConnell Air Force Base on April 26, 1991. This tornado was part of the Andover, Kansas tornado outbreak, and this video has been featured in many tornado documentaries. The 1991 Andover tornado outbreak occurred at a time when camcorders were very popular, so this particular tornado was very well documented, including some other famous footage done by Duke Evans. Now, I'm not exactly sure who filmed McConnell Air Force Base footage, so please let me know in the comments if you know who filmed this. TIVs, aka Tornado Intercept Vehicles. These are specialized vehicles capable of withstanding extreme tornadic winds, specifically with the goal of filming or capturing data from the inside of a tornado. Originally made famous by Sean Casey and his goal of intercepting a tornado for his IMAX film. Reed Timmer also has his own tornado intercept vehicle known as the Dominator. Reed Timmer showed off the Dominator on Jay Leno's Garage. I might do a video on these specifically in the future, but for now, we're gonna move on to Layer 3, Deeper Waters.
Ooh, here we go. cheaper again.
Mike Morgan, Gary England, and James Spann are three iconic TV weathermen known for covering major tornadoes over the course of their careers. Gary England, now retired, and Mike Morgan cover the Oklahoma City area while James Spann covers Alabama. They're well known by tornado enthusiasts beyond their immediate viewing area for their excellence in covering dozens of tornado events, including the 1999 and 2013 Moore tornadoes and the 2011 Tuscaloosa Birmingham tornado. Get Up Under the Girders refers to the April 26, 1991 tornado overpass footage. This footage is extremely famous and many people have seen it in their classrooms or in documentaries. It's captured by a news crew as they're being chased down by an F2 tornado. As they're being chased down, they take shelter up beneath an overpass.
Get up under the girders!
This video is responsible for people believing that overpasses are safe spaces during tornadoes, when in reality, they're very dangerous. So
Yeah, that wouldn't stop like a wind kind of. I don't know the science behind it. I'm actually talking out my bum right now. Yeah, I still imagine you'd get, what are they called? Like the wind would enter and swirl, and it would have nowhere to escape back out. And just shut up, be me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Right. Okay, let's carry on. What's interesting here is that I know they mentioned that this was an F2 tornado. Now, in comparison, when you're hearing about F5s, F4s, 3s, you're going to assume surely an F2 isn't too destructive. It's not going to cause too many problems. That just isn't the case at all, is it? You can see it here.
yeah, you should not go underneath an overpass, especially when the tornado goes over the overpass and the winds are going ridiculous.
It must be so loud.
Very iconic footage for sure. The Joplin live coverage tornado sirens refers to the Anderson Cooper live coverage of the Joplin tornado aftermath. As he's talking about the aftermath, the sirens begin to sound around him, and it's kind of just a well-known YouTube video.
The sirens are actually now going off here. Again, there's been concern all day about an approaching storm.
The 1997 Gerald, Texas Dead Man Walking tornado. This refers to a very famous tornado photo. On May 27th, 1997, a huge F5 tornado hit the town of Gerald, Texas. And what's unique about this tornado is it actually went in the opposite direction of most tornadoes. This tornado is very well known for a famous photo called The Dead Man Walking. This photo initially became famous after it was featured in a documentary. I mean,
oh gosh, you can see it does. It looks like a man walking. That's really odd. So what's giving it like is it like an illusion, or is it giving it like two little tails? I don't know what you call them. Tails?
Obviously, the photo is ridiculous. It looks scary as heck.
Yeah.
It looks like there's some sort of monster walking into Gerald, which is true. I mean, that tornado really was a monster, and it was one of the most powerful tornadoes ever recorded. Probably the most famous tornado photo, or one of the most famous tornado photos. Will Norton, aka Wildebeest, is a YouTuber from Joplin, Missouri, who is one of the more well-known fatalities from that day. Will Norton passed away when his vehicle was struck by an EF5 tornado while he was driving home from his own graduation. I mentioned more about him in my Joplin Fatalities Map video. I've been watching many of his videos actually throughout the last few days, and he seems like a really cool guy. Like, he just seems really down to earth, really funny. It's really unfortunate that his life was taken at such a young age. Rest in peace, Wildebeest. Tornado Alley moving east. This refers to the idea that Tornado Alley appears to be moving more to the east compared to where it has historically been. This is due to the fact that in the past 4 decades, there have been less tornadoes in the traditional tornado alley and actually more tornadoes a little to the east. Some very recent examples include the 2020 Nashville tornado and the 2021 Mayfield tornado. Some experts blame climate change while others still aren't quite sure what's going on. So is it moving to the east? Perhaps. Guess we'll see what happens in the long term. What are your thoughts? The EF5 drought. So the 2013 Newcastle Moore tornado was actually the last recorded EF5 tornado on record. That means that it has been almost 10 years since the last rated EF5 tornado. Technically, this means that no tornado has caused EF5 damage. So while large and strong tornadoes have occurred since 2013, there have officially been none that have been classified as an EF5. This is
like we were just saying, is the scale as effective as other ways of categorizing tornadoes and hurricanes because it's misleading, isn't it? So we've not seen F5 in the last 10 years. That doesn't mean you haven't experienced massive hurricanes with very, very high wind speeds. It might just happen to be that these particular hurricanes have taken place in very secluded areas, like not built up areas with few people around, or, you know, little infrastructure to damage and cause such devastation. So it is quite deceiving, isn't it?
It's pretty insane considering that 2011 had 6 EF5 tornadoes, 6 of them. We are currently in the longest recorded EF5 drought, which is good. I mean, come on, we don't want EF5 tornadoes to occur. The last EF5 drought before the current one was actually between 2007 and 1999. The Pilger twin tornadoes refers to another legendary tornado event that occurred on June 16th, 2014 near the town of Pilger, Nebraska. This event featured 2 twin EF4 tornadoes, an extremely rare event that I would have paid so much to see. Unfortunately, each tornado took 1 life. It's crazy to have twin tornadoes. It's even crazier to have extremely strong twin EF4 tornadoes. Definitely an iconic event remembered by many. El Reno was an EF3, refers to the fact that the largest tornado and one of the strongest tornadoes ever was only classified as an EF3.
Here we go again with the the system. He did say what it was, isn't it? The F. I can't remember what the F stands for. So again, is it a little bit deceiving? Because they're only categorized based on the amount of damage that they've done, but it doesn't truly represent actually the intensity of the tornado or hurricane, does it?
Even though many believe it is or should be an EF5, the topic is quite controversial amongst tornado enthusiasts because it seems strange that it would have such a low rating. But remember, the EF scale is based off of damage, and the El Reno tornado fortunately really didn't cause much damage. There was a little bit of damage, but not enough to warrant an EF5 rating. Nocturnal tornadoes refers to, well, tornadoes that occur at night. These are very feared by many for good reason. You can't see them coming, and they occur while you're sleeping. And for this reason, they're actually twice as deadly compared to their daytime counterparts. The night factor really does add another layer of scariness to events that are already quite frightening. Nocturnal tornadoes are actually rare, as most tornadoes occur in the late afternoon or early morning.
Is that because of is it the temperatures or the associated like weather that generally is there in the formation of them? Yeah, no?
2007 Greensburg, Kansas tornado is one of the most destructive EF5s in the past 20 years. Occurring on May 4th, 2007, the tornado struck the small Kansas town of Greensburg, killing 13 and nearly wiping the town off the map. Virtually every building in Greensburg was destroyed. This tornado even picked up an extremely heavy meteorite, which was lost for several days. This tornado caused the town's population to cut in half. Truly a terrible event. Also iconic is Dave Freeman's coverage of this tornado. The 1974 super outbreak was one of the largest tornado outbreaks ever recorded. Overall, there were 148 confirmed tornadoes causing 319 deaths and $5 billion worth of damage, adjusted for inflation. Overall, there were 7 EF5 tornadoes. 7. Like I said, we're in an EF5 drought, and there was 7 during the super outbreak. Insane. Some notable examples include the Gwynn, the Brandenburg, the Xenia, and the Tanner tornadoes. Indiana gets its fair share of tornadoes, and technically it's not part of the traditional tornado alley, and technically it's not part of Dixie Alley. It's kind of, you know, in between the two, a little bit to the right, but yeah, it's got its own alley. Hoosier, how do you say that? Hoosier? Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India refers to the idea that other than the US, there seems to be another tornado hotspot near eastern India and Bangladesh and Pakistan. In fact, the deadliest tornado of all time killed over 1,300 individuals. This occurred in 1989. The KFO...
Now, do they adopt the EF scale, or I don't know how they would categorize the intensity of this tornado or hurricane. Would it have been, did they call it an F6? Would it have been? Because like they say, that hasn't been recorded yet, but is it just that that's not been recorded in the US or globally? I'm not sure. Let me know if you know any of the answers to my many, many questions, guys.
Our live coverage of the 1999 Bridge Creek Moore tornado is one of the most iconic live TV moments ever. Mike Morgan, along with Dan Anderson, did an excellent job covering the storm. Perhaps the most well-known part of the live broadcast is the scene where they showed the Moore exit sign and you can see horizontal vortices being filmed. Mike Morgan is literally speechless.
Go get safe. Oh my gosh.
89, South 89.
Just took the words right out of my mouth. Oh my gosh.
Mayfield should have been an EF5. There are many amongst the tornado enthusiast community that believe that the December 10th, 2020 Western Kentucky EF4 tornado should have been declared as an EF5. It can be quite controversial, especially when you bring up the EF5 drought I spoke about earlier. Of course, the surveys were done by professionals who know what they're doing, so I want to just go ahead and take their side on this matter.
Is there any issues that pop up from people who obviously are victims of the devastation of these tornadoes and hurricanes? And I suppose if you've had your home destroyed, and to hear from professionals that this is an F3, but you're in a community that have lost pretty much everything. There's been fatalities, casualties, so much damage. I don't think you'd want to hear that that damage has only been categorized as moderate. How do people feel about that? Especially if you're obviously saying it should have been an F5 because the devastation is ridiculous. Is there a reason why do you think there might be a reason why they're reluctant to categorize them as an F5? Like maybe they want to continue being able to say, yes, we're in an F5 drought. Does that benefit anybody? Why? No.
What do you think? Do you think Mayfield should have been an EF5? Flying cows refers to a famous tornado trope of cows being picked up and thrown by tornadoes, mostly because people put farms and tornadoes together due to their frequent appearance in the U.S. plains. We're going to move on. TVS, or Tornado Vortex Signature. This refers to velocity radar indicated rotation, which can help pinpoint the exact location of a tornado. Reds, which represent winds flowing away from the radar site, and greens, which represent winds moving toward the radar station. And when these bright reds and bright greens are close to each other, it can signify a storm's rotation. These, along with hook echoes and debris balls, can indicate the tornado's location. All You Can Do Is Pray refers to the iconic Tuscaloosa tornado live coverage by James Spann from ABC 3540. James Spann is watching the Tuscaloosa sky cam and he is just absolutely speechless as a mile-wide tornado is occurring right before his eyes. You know, James Spann is like, wow, this is really a terrible situation. And he doesn't know what to say, so he just goes, all you can do is pray.
Look at I know he's a tornado enthusiast and a specialist, but watching that utter devastation unfold before your eyes, yes, you're keeping people updated of like the direction that it's going in, but that must be a horrible, horrible feeling. You're powerless. You can't do anything. All you can do is literally, it's like somebody's holding your eyes open and making you watch this devastation. I can't even imagine how horrible that must feel.
Look at that. Goodness gracious. This will be a day that will go down in state history. And all you can do is pray for those people.
Tornadoes sound like trains. So this is the idea that tornadoes sound like trains. If you've ever heard a train, like a freight train, it kind of has this low rumble to it. And people say that's exactly what tornadoes sound like off in the distance as they approach. Here's an example.
Like a chugga 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 chugga.
Very eerie, especially if you live in Dixie Alley where you can't see them coming, especially at night when you can't see them coming. So yeah, tornadoes sound like trains. And that concludes part 1 of our tornado iceberg video. Be sure to subscribe. Part 2 is coming out in a week. Thanks again for 50,000 subs. If you have any questions, if you want to reach out to me, you can on my Instagram page or from my email in the description if you got questions. I'm so thankful for y'all. Thanks for watching.
very informative. Oh, that's cool. I like the vintage kind of video recorder. I don't know what you call it. Where he's done this this last scene here. I like that. They're beautiful. They are. They look like they're a phenomenon, aren't they? Phenomenon. They are devastatingly beautiful to watch, but it's a unnerving kind of beauty, because you know how destructive they are. You know that wherever they roam, wherever these tornadoes are moving to, it's like an angel of death, honestly. Yes, they're pretty, they're beautiful, but you know, wherever they go, they are carrying a lot of devastation and such a destructive force. And it's very interesting, though. Like I was asking about that whole, is it the EF rating or is it F? I've been calling it F. If it's EF, sorry. But yeah, is there a reluctance to label them an F5? And I wonder why. Is there another agenda there? Like maybe, are they reluctant because they want to downplay climate change, maybe? Or I don't know. Or is that absolute nonsense? Have I just created a crazy conspiracy theory? Ignore me. But yeah, someone surely watching this has a bit of insight or knows the answer to that. I'd be very interested in asking this chap, you know. Let's get into the politics of tornadoes. So why do you think this is happening? It's very, very interesting. Arctic Tron, another absolute banger. Thank you so much for requesting this video. I'll have to catch part 2. I'm invested now. I need to know all the rest of the information. He did say, didn't he, though, he's had to divide it into 2 parts because there's just been so much information. I hear you. I can't stop talking. I should start dividing my videos into part 1 and part 2. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching me. If you're still here at the end of this video, take care of yourselves, my lovelies, and I will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.